default, single and first. All these functions, they help us find out only one record from a database, and let us try to understand when to use which one and which one should not be used at all. So let us try to understand that. First of all, let us suppose that our model is called public class doctor profile. This model has a primary key called public int id, and there is a property called name, the name of the doctor, and the fees charged by doctor public int fees get set. This is a model, let us say we have that we are going to process, we are going to discuss, and also let us suppose that a DB context has been also added to our project, and this DB set, this gives me access to all the doctor profile through the property called doctors. This you must already be aware. So now the point is how to find a particular doctor profile, how to find a particular object of doctor profile in this doctors DB set. So let me now discuss with you all these functions one by one. This first function I'll start with find. So if I say my context is underscore ctx, that is if I have project context available through dependency injection and it is called underscore ctx, then ctx dot this doctors, this gives me the whole set of doctor profile. Now if I want to find just one doctor and I have to use this primary key, if I have this primary key, then the best way is to use dot find and pass your primary key value to this function. This is the simplest way of finding one doctor out of the whole table if we have access to the primary key. So see, if my primary key is id, I will pass 2 here. This is the simplest one. Now sometimes your table has 2 primary keys combination. In that case you have to pass like this: doctors dot find first primary key followed by the second primary key. This whole sequence is possible. You should pass them in the same order in which the primary keys are defined. How to define these primary keys I have already discussed in one of the starting videos, so you can have a look at that also. Find will give me access to that one particular record. So the code I'll just write for you. Let us say I want to write this doctor profile where dp is equal to underscore ctx dot doctors dot find. This will give me access to that doctor profile whose primary key id is 2. If this record doesn't exist, then dp will be null. So I will have some null testing here. If null is not equal to dp, then we do something, otherwise we do something else. So this is about the find function. This function works only if you have the primary key and if you want to search by primary key. But many times what happens is that you have an indexed property also. Let us say we have an index on name, or let us say we have an index on fees, and we want to search search that particular doctor whose fees is exactly equal to, let us say, 300. Now this is not the primary key, so therefore I will not be able to use this find. In this case, now you have to either use first or default or first. Let me first come to these ones, then I'll come to these ones. A slight confusion will be there between single or default, first or default, but let me first of all take first or default or first. Okay. Now let us suppose we want to find a doctor whose fees is exactly equal to 300 and we want to find just one doctor. Now in this database there may be 10 doctors whose fees is 300, but we want to find only one of them. So in this case, if the default ordering is followed, then you can say underscore ctx dot doctors dot first or default. default, and in this you pass this lambda. I will say q goes to q dot fees is double equal to 300. Now what will this do is it will find the first doctor who matches this fees of 300. The ordering is default. So you could have specified context.doctors.order by. That order by will take later on, but let us suppose we are just interested in finding the first doctor by the default ordering of the SQL database, whatever it is. It will give me access to the very first doctor who matches this value. And if I write where doc is equal to underscore ctx.doctors, then if there is no doctor with fees equal to 300, then doc will be null, and I will again have to test if null is double equal to doc. I will do something, and if it is not, then I will